Hi, I'm Jack Fritscher. I'm the founding San Francisco editor of Drummer and a gay author who's kept track of leather history for 40 years.
Now, you just have a new book out, correct?
Correct. It's called Gay San Francisco, Eyewitness Drummer, and the lengthy subtitle is like a thumbnail. It's a memoir of the art, sex, salon, gay pop culture, war, and gay history of Drummer magazine from the Titanic 1970s to 1999.
That's an excellent subparagraph. I love that.
Well, the reason we did it that way was we put it in chronological order. You can tell a lot of leather history based upon the annual run of monthly issues of Drummer. So in June 1977, something in leather happened. We can attach it to the June 1977 issue of Drummer.
Ah, makes sense.
And so you get a spine on which to put all these diverse events.
Now, for people that don't know, tell us just briefly what Drummer was and when it was published.
Drummer was the first leather magazine published after Stonewall, the third major gay magazine published after Stonewall, and stayed in business from 1975 to 1999 when it was done in by the internet, basically. And it was a magazine that I used as an American pop culture vehicle to bring the leather subculture up out of the underground into the mainstream, because even vanilla gay people didn't appreciate leather people. I mean, the Advocate has always hated leather people, and so to break that news neck and get our information out there, we used Drummer to do that. And Drummer would report on leather culture, but at the same time it would have articles that helped create the very leather culture, because one issue in 1978 I used as a theme for Drummer, because I introduced themes into Drummer, cigars. I liked cigars, but you didn't see cigars out. If you lit a cigar in a bar, people would run away. One time a guy came up to me in a bar and said, "Why are you smoking that cigar?" And I said, "Crowd control," and he ran away. It worked.
I guess it worked. Not nowadays, though.
Not nowadays, no, because, and that's the point, 30 days after that Drummer article came out fetishizing cigars, cigars came out of the closet and into the bars. I mean, I didn't invent the cigar fetish, I just brought it out of the closet and said it's okay. Everybody who's home smoking cigars and looking in the mirror with nipple clamps on can now come out to a bar.
And then you were editor what years?
I was editor from 1977 till New Year's Eve, right before 1980, as 79 was turning into 1980.
Those are some halcyon days in the leather community.
Yeah, that was a golden period, because that was that marvelous hygienic window between the discovery of penicillin for sex diseases and the introduction of HIV. Right. And Drummer died, in a sense, as did a lot of gay culture, because of HIV and the VCR. Both of them came in at the same time. And the VCR helped destroy gay theaters where movies were playing, leather movies, for instance, even here in San Francisco, like Nob Hill Theater. And it cut down on the viewing or the reading of Drummer, so that even Drummer had to try to reinvent itself with video in the early 80s. But in the 80s, when Drummer continued, and I continued to be a contributor to it, they also continued to follow that monthly theme issue that I did. I'm trying to think of, well, let's do Rubber this issue and Bears this next one. In fact, I did the first article on Bears and Drummer.
Now, do you think that we're now 11 years past the demise of Drummer, a little more. Do you think that Drummer magazine could make a comeback ever?
It might be able to make a comeback online. However, as a magazine, I don't think so. There's too much free competition out there from people making their own little videos at home on Xtube and so forth. And that's really what Drummer tried to do, because what I did with Drummer was not, I subtracted all of the models from the film studios that existed and started using real people as models. And I started a feature called Tough Customers, in which I begged readers to send in pictures of themselves doing stuff, because I wanted the magazine to be reader-reflexive, and that's what made Drummer really connect, made it the people's leather magazine, and made it really golden during that golden age.
I have fond memories of that segment.
Were you in that?
I don't believe I was ever in it, but I definitely have fond memories.
Well, I think...
Oh, I was in every one of them, but it just wasn't me in there.
I see. I think that, you know, what you're doing with your blog at Leatherati is really the new Drummer. You might not be doing stories and all that, but it could be expanded to that, because Drummer would certainly be wrapped around a blog these days in the way that Drummer was wrapped around the personals classifieds. And that was the main purpose when Drummer first started, was to give other people a place to connect together.
Now, why your interest in gay history? I mean, you've been tracking it, as you said, for 40 years. Why this interest in that?
Well, I must confess, I'm an academic. I taught university for years, and in 1968 I was one of the founders of the American Popular Culture Association, which helped undo university education as we know it by introducing diversity into university. And so learning from that you don't wait 50 years to examine what happens. You pay attention to the Supremes in the 1960s when the Supremes are happening, and take in the whole global gestalt of that and pay attention to it and examine it, enjoy it, and help further it and also analyze it. And so I thought, if that's good enough for the Supremes, this was even before Stonewall, and so I was collecting all of our gay culture because I knew it was such an easily flammable culture that we live in. We're always having our books burned, and even leather people will sometimes get pious around Christmas and Easter and throw out all their erotica. Having done Palm Drive video for years, we'd oftentimes, after one of those religious holidays, get a phone call from somebody who said, "Oh, I was feeling religious before Christmas and I threw out all my pornography, and now I need to reorder all my Palm Drive videos." I said, "Don't throw your stuff away." That was great for business.